Chris, you there?
I am here. Good morning. Technical difficulties this morning, Eddie.
Yeah, I know. We, it's the challenge of being up here in the mountains at the lake cabin, and sometimes things don't go as smoothly as we'd like.
Absolutely. You notice the background is a fall theme this morning. Something I do want to call out is I noticed that you're not exactly in shorts and t-shirts this morning. What's the temperature up there in Lake Luzerne this morning?
Right now, it is 60 degrees, so it's a little crisp, but not too bad. I mean, I'd take this over 85, 90 degrees. That's for sure.
All right, that's good. I always listen. Being a northeasterner, I crave for the days of 95 degrees. It's not long enough. I could use like 2 more months of that, and then we could let fall and winter come. But hey, first thing I just want to say is nobody is hotter than you right now. I mean, I actually did a Google search this morning, and I realized that the hottest pepper. I always used to think it was the ghost pepper. It's actually the Carolina Reaper. I didn't know that. The highest temperature on record, Eddie, is Death Valley in 1913, 134 degrees. Everybody knows the sun's hot because it's 10,000 degrees. I learned that in junior high. And then I got Eddie C. the last 2 days. What the heck are you doing? Because inquiring minds want to know.
When you get on runs like this, it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of it has to do with PaceSheets, what we've been working on. What you put together, and I incorporated into my handicap. I've said this to the people that have listened, watched us, and also people I've run into at the track. I use PaceSheets together with my handicapping, and in the last 2 days, I've had 15 winners out of 20 races basically, and I only use two picks per race versus some other people out there use four picks per race. Say anything bad about them, but I started doing 2 picks per race about 5 years ago, and it's worked out pretty good. And it helps me narrow down my picks for handicapping purposes and how I construct tickets and things like that. So it's a hot streak, and let's hope it continues thanks to Pace Sheets, and we finish out this Saratoga meet on fire.
Absolutely, but no, you've been on fire the past couple of days, and we all acknowledge that. I will tell you that there's a lot of things I've learned from you personally, just from the simple fact of sires and thinking about from a maiden standpoint. You don't need to overcomplicate it too much with first time starters. I mean, it's really, I mean, you have your group and they're pretty good winners. And the other thing I learned from you a lot too is on turf, and I'm a big guy on form, and I like to go back and look at it. I'm too quick to toss horses that are coming back off a layoff on turf. And you said something before that hit a chord with me that horses typically run on grass anyway. They're not really dirt animals, right? They run on grass, and it's a natural thing for them.
Exactly, and that's long layoffs on turf. Uh, it doesn't bother me at all because of what you just said. I've been I was taught that by a handicapper 25 years ago, and I've learned that it really doesn't matter on the long layoff coming on running back on the turf. On dirt, it's a little bit harder because the dirt, the horses exert a hell of a lot more energy on dirt than they do when they were on turf. So
Well, keep up the good work. Keep this hot streak going. We're not supposed to talk about streaks when they're in progress, but keep doing what you're doing because you are knocking it out of the park here. Forget about just the past 2 days, but you've really been consistent and really good the entire meet. So I like that. And the pace sheets have really helped me too, with going back and comparing, what we have for picks and plays and everything else. So before we get into Saratoga today, I know there is a big race out on the West Coast. Just so everybody knows, if you go to at PaceSheets1 on Twitter, SpotPlays, and some of you may be watching us right there from now. I actually put Del Mar on for today, so you can see the whole entire card. And it's the first time I've run Del Mar in the Pace Sheets, so take that for whatever it's worth. But I wanted to pull up, what it happens. But before we get to that, Eddie, what are your thoughts on this Pacific Classic? It's a grade one race. Everybody's been talking about Flightline here for like the past, seems like forever. What are your thoughts on Flightline? Is it the best horse you've ever seen, or what?
Look, there's no questioning the talent of Flightline. Um, the horse has never run less than a 105 buyer in 4 races. My concern of Flightline is that it's a 4-year-old colt who's only run 4 times. So now you're looking at a horse that he's undefeated, 4 for 4, uh, has beaten some pretty good horses, has beaten Stiletto Boy, who's running again today, but beat Speaker's Corner. The biggest field he's faced is 7. So, from that regard, we still don't know how great this horse is, other than the fact that he's beaten everybody and beaten everybody pretty handily. It's pretty impressive when you look at it. He's won by 13, 12, 11, and 6 lengths. So nobody's come close to him. And Flavian Pratt left Saratoga to go ride this horse again. So that also tells you a little something about it. Uh, Super special horse, working good. The only other horse in the race I give a chance to is Country Grammar, and Country Grammar's coming back off his second race from the Dubai World Cup. Just missed second place in the San Diego Handicap, which was a grade 2 first race back from Dubai. And that's telling because a lot of horses, when they come back from Dubai, don't come back the same. But since that race back on the 30th of July, he's got 3 really solid works. And, if somebody goes with Flightline early, be it Country Grammar or be it Stiletto Boy, then maybe Country Grammar has a chance to nip him at the wire. We'll find out, though.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I didn't officially go in and cap it from an old school PP process. So when I ran this, there is a projected pace. It could get quick, but I think you hit the nail right on the head. If you look at the pace sheets, and we've been talking about this, these corner horses are like, are they favorites? Yeah, 99% of the time they're the favorites. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to validate what it looks like on paper. And there's a couple things that stuck out to me on the Pacific Classic when I looked at the pace sheets. The first one is the 5, which is Flightline, is got the best early speed by a mile. It's got the best total pace by a mile. On paper, this horse, I don't want to say he's a lock and he's unbeatable, but he looks like on paper he's a lock and he's unbeatable. So the call out for me on this is this. Listen, I love Flightline. I think it's absolutely great horse. I know Country Grammar's got some good back class, Eddie. The thing that I picked up on here, and again, no capping, I'm interested in this 4 Express Train. Not from a standpoint of is the 4 going to be Flightline, but I looked at the 4 and his morning line is 12-1. And if you look at the numbers here, looks like on paper it's the second best horse. Total pace, besides Flightline, is the best of the group. Got the best early speed and even its late speed. So I'm just saying, not gonna say he's gonna win, but I'm just saying his numbers are in comparison. And if you're looking for an opportunity and you're playing Del Mar today, I would really look at playing an exacta, maybe 5-4, and you may be able
I,
to add some value.
I totally agree with you. Express Train is maybe the value play. I don't think you're going to get 12-1 on Express Train as it is in the morning line. And the other thing I want to say about Flightline is he's run in 2 6 furlong races, a 7 furlong race, and a mile, and now he's stretching out to a mile and a quarter. Unknown territory for for a horse that's only run 4 times. He's bred to get the distance, maybe because Tappet has surprised me as putting out distance, and Tappet horses have won the Belmont Stakes. I want to say 4 or 5 times in the last 6, 7 years. But he's at a Pulpit, who Pulpit really was a mile, maybe a mile and a 16th horse at the most. But he's out of an Indian Charlie mare, and I don't know if it's called Feathered. I don't know Feathered's pedigree, if it's distance oriented or not, to be honest with you. But it's a challenge for Flightline. I don't think it's going to be as easy as 1-5 as the morning line projects. I will be curious to watch this race later.
Okay, so a couple of things I just wanted to shout out. First off, we're both friends with Bree, Mott over at Stable Duel. They're having a big contest today for Del
Yes.
Mar. So I would say to you, if you're looking for something to do, you haven't played Stable Duel before, or if you have, go and play that, and you can utilize the pace sheets. I put Del Mar up for the whole entire card. Go take a look at it. Those of you guys that have been playing, you know what you're looking at. And if you don't know what you're looking at, I actually put a reference key back up there again in the comments. So looks like a pretty good card at Del Mar today, and I hope everything goes according to plan. And the other thing that we should know too is I see Flavian went back on the West Coast to ride Flight Line, so I guess he won't be at Saratoga today for all these turf races.
No, and actually, Irad's back from his 3 day suspension. Joel came back yesterday and had a pretty good day himself. And on a quick note, and I'll post the picture later, but Joel gave me an autographed copy of Epicenter crossing the finish line from the Travers. So that was really special yesterday. A nice little gift from Joel. So everybody knows that they think I have a man crush. I just have a really good, friendly relationship with the man.
All right. You were supposed to get me Victor Espinosa's autograph last weekend. I think that was a colossal failure.
It totally was. I totally forgot. So I'm gonna give a shout out to my boys Bill and Gino who are either listening or watching in on this today. I totally forgot that we were doing this show, and I told them I'd meet them at the Horseshoe at 9 o'clock in the morning for breakfast. So actually, I got to go ahead and send Gino that link too.
All right.
But
So we will well, don't send him your link. Just send him to come on Twitter. Otherwise, he'll be on the show with us. But
I'm not going to do that. He'll figure it out.
So, or if you miss it, the good news about the internet is you can go back and you can watch it later, Eddie. So let's get into Saratoga and what we've got today so I can share the pace sheets, what it shows, what it looks like. So there's 3 stakes races today, and the first stakes race is in race number 4. I want to make sure I get the right thing here. It's the Saranac. It's a grade 3 mile and a 16th on the inner turf, which is important because heard a lot of conversation about this inner turf course on the inside on the rail, and there's certain jockeys that really just crush this inner turf, like Joel Rosario. So, Eddie, who do you like in this 4th race on the Saranac?
Look, Annapolis is the standout horse in this race. He's 2-5 morning line. Just missed in the Saratoga Derby Invitational, which was a grade 1, going a mile and 3/16. Finished second by a length and 3/4. Didn't have the best trip. I went back and watched the replay on it and got stuck wide a little bit, and then just didn't have enough. Did close, but just didn't have enough to win the race. Ethereal Road is obviously a horse from the coach Dwayne Lucas that's in here. He's got some back class from some of the races he's run in. It's his 2nd race on the turf. He also ran in the Saratoga Derby Invitational, but didn't show anything in that race. You got the 1 Celestial City with Shug McGahee and JJ Castellano riding. This horse is the 2nd favorite, deservedly so. But I'm going to go with, if anybody can beat Annapolis, I'm going with the 5 Fuerteventura. So, I'd like to throw in the Spanish accent there. You can go ahead and make it an Italian accent if you want to give it a go.
So, is that why you pick these horses? Because it's a Spanish name?
Actually, I'm picking it because I really like the horse. This horse has run on the turf 3 times. He's got 2 wins. He has also run on the synthetic and has a win there. This horse is out of a Warfront sire, out of a Smart Strike dam. This horse, I think, is ready for a big race. He's coming off a little bit of a layoff. He's working nicely. Jonathan Thomas is the trainer. Manny Franco is riding it. He's the horse that I give a little bit of a chance to upset Annapolis. He's 6-1 morning line, so maybe we get a little bit of value. So, you know what I'll probably do, and I talked to my boy Walter about this, is I'm probably going to do a straight exacta 5 over the 1. I'm going to do a win bet on the 5, but then I'll do a little bit bigger straight exacta of Annapolis over Fuerteventura. That way, if it doesn't, if the 5 wins, I get a nice price play. But if it comes 3-5, sorry about that, Annapolis over Fuerteventura, I get out of the race.
Okay, I can respect that. So I got looking at this and I tried to think, how in the world is Annapolis going to lose this race? I don't. So first off, it's another one of these people complain about the short fields and these graded stakes races. It's a what do we got? 5 horses here, Eddie? Five
Yeah.
horses.
Yep.
So hopefully nobody scratches, and we've seen a lot of this. Listen, Annapolis fits here. I'm not really concerned about that. To what you said, though, he's 2 for 2 at the distance. I'm not sure that Annapolis is a 2-5 lock. It's tough to take that one. Do I think he's the best of this whole group? Absolutely, and I'll show you the pace sheets in a minute. But what I'm concerned with, the one horse that I am intrigued with, and you mentioned this, is the 4 Ethereal Road.
Yeah.
Now, first off, Dwayne Lucas, I think he's got a pretty good idea of what he's doing. He's been doing this forever. And what I would think is if this horse doesn't like the turf or it's not going to run on the turf, why is Dwayne Lucas bringing Ethereal Road back in a graded stakes on the turf when all the horse's successes come on the dirt? He's got some pedigree there by Quality Road. I see the other thing that intrigues me here is from a pace standpoint. There's no pace in this race. So I do not like whenever you have a race that doesn't have the balance of early speed, versatile speed, pressers, and the closers. Whenever you have a race that's not like that, I just shift my focus back to the back speed. Now, there is a back speed bias here. So if you're looking for a price, and again, I don't think you're going to get 10-1 on Ethereal Road because I think probably there's going to be a lot of people thinking that way. But listen, I'm 3-4-1-5 here. Three to me is best of class, but obviously everybody can pick that one at 2-5. To me, the most intriguing horse in this race, and I'm going to look at probably doing an exactor of some sort. Ethereal Road, probably a win bet if I can get, but I need every bit of this. It feels like I need to get like 9-1, 10-1, Eddie.
Yeah.
If I'm going to play against Annapolis, I need to get every single bit of that morning line. I don't think you're going to get that. I personally think Ethereal Road, just for those reasons, may get bet down to like 7-1-ish. And I don't like him at 7-1. I like double-digit odds. But if I'm playing a tournament, if I'm playing the stable duel that I just mentioned, you know what? Ethereal Road to me looks pretty juicy for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, again, we're looking for value here to try to either pair together with Annapolis, the 3-horse, or try to beat it. And, keep in mind, and this is the other reason I really like the 5 a little bit. The 5 beat the 1, Celestial City, 2 races back. And they're very comparable horses. If you strictly look at buyer numbers, yeah, the 1-horse Celestial City should be the favorite, but don't. If you're handicapping only on buyer figures, you're not going to win. That's why I've gotten on a hot streak because I use pace sheets. I look at the form, but I also watch replays. I implore everybody, watch replays of races, and you're gonna start seeing trends of how a horse. Maybe the comment line does not tell you the full story of a horse. Maybe you see something in that replay. So don't just depend on the form, on our picks exclusively. Use replays as well.
That is a fantastic point, Eddie. And I know we're belaboring the point here on this race, trying to find some value. But the one thing I do want to show, listen, Ethereal Road is a presser, so I mean, I guess he's got the best early speed. But when I look at this, listen, I'm looking for gaps. And when I look at gaps, I got a gap here. So it looks like you could take the 3 and the rest of them you could probably just put in a mix in a lottery bag. But listen, total pace, the 3, early speed, we just said the 3. The interesting thing here, your 2 horses, so the 1 has the best late speed, and there's a gap there with a 1. So I didn't notice that before. So
yeah,
that's an interesting one, and that is Celestial City that you just said. So if the race goes and there's no pace, so when I see no pace, that's where I tend to like the back speed even more. The one actually may be a play. So if I'm not handicapping this race, Eddie, I would go probably three. And what are the odds on? Oh, he's only 3-1. There's no way I'm taking 3-1 on that one. But
Yeah,
3-1, maybe the 5 is what it looks like. And
I,
4.
I, I I'd be surprised if the 2 Pical does not go to the front. To be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's the only one with any early speed, so he's got to be. But I'm just saying it's not that good early speed, and the two.
Right.
So I don't know. I think the two's going to get eaten alive, but you never know. The dirt at Saratoga, it's been playing like a you get out in front, away you go. So
It's funny when you get on the hot streak, your DMs on Twitter start blowing up. By the way,
yeah,
I
Eddie,
I
who
don't
Eddie who do you got in the first, Eddie? Eddie, who you got in the second, Eddie? Eddie, what about the sixth race? I need to know about the sixth race. Who you got in the sixth race?
and then when I get lose a race, I get killed. So anyhow,
Well, that's my job today. So when I can just text you like all day long, Eddie. Who you got the next one? Who you got the next one, Eddie? Come on, you change your mind, Eddie. That'll be my job today. So let's move on. Let's talk about there's two more stakes races, and I know we're belaboring some things this morning, having a lot of good conversation. But let's look at the next one, which is race number 10. It's the Flower Bowl. Who do you got here, Eddie?
well, you got another potential standout in this race in Warlike Goddess. I mean, this horse has got 8 wins out of 10 starts, and you have to go back to its third start for the only race it missed the board, running in the very one handicap at Gulfstream Park. Just got a bad trip in that race, to be honest with you. I watched it again. It says that it rallied at the comment line was that it was inside and rallied towards the end, but it didn't get a great ride. It got stuck in traffic a little bit. But this is a pretty special horse for Bill Mott with and Joel's riding him today. He's ridden him the last couple of times and he's won both races in the grade 2 and a grade 3. This horse right here is, to me, a total standout in the race. If you remember, Chris, in the Glens Falls, when we did the card for the Glens Falls, I think we both picked the 3-horse Virginia Joy to win that race.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it came third, just missed by a little bit over a length in that race. I think those are the 2 horses in this race. I know it's chalky. I'd love to throw something else out there. If you're looking for any sort of value in this race, you may want to use the 6-horse Temple City Terror. But for me, this is a straight cold 4-3 race.
Okay, that's so. Listen, the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of chalk here, and I can validate that Warlike Goddess. Obviously you can't toss that one. So when I look at this race, the first thing, another one with no pace. Let me see if I can share my screen here on the pace factor. So this is the 10th race. Here's an interesting thing, Eddie. So actually, I got an honest pace, is what it says. An interesting thing here is when I look at the pace sheets, Warlike Goddess is the 4. So let me see if I can draw this up. So there's nothing that really sticks out here. So here's Warlike Goddess, best late speed, but not by a mile. So you look at the total pace wise, the 1 Capital Structure. Am I looking at the right race?
Yep.
Yes. All right. Capital Structure. Capital Structure has some good total pace numbers. I'm looking at the 7 actually has, for oppressors, early speed, but we know that one's not going to the front. The 3 is going to be the one that's going to go to the front. So remember, early speed. I'm just saying the 7's got some better early speed than the 3. So actually, when I look at this race has how many Chad Browns? 4. 7-horse
Yep.
field with 4 Chad Browns. So to me, it's
No,
like,
3.
is it 3? I
Chad
thought it was 4. Are you sure? Because I could have sworn I counted 4.
He's got this 1, 3, and 7.
All right, I got to go back and look at this now because I could have sworn I counted 4. But anyway, all right, Chad Brown's got the 1. Chad Brown's got the 3. Chad Brown's got. What was that? What do you mean,
The
Chad Brown?
7. He's
Okay,
got
you're
the
right.
7.
All right, all right. You're right. You're right. You're right. 3. I don't know
You
how the heck I.
maybe you thought the 5 because Sherry DeVoe used to be Chad's
All right.
assistant.
Well,
So
that counts. Sorry, so that counts too. So that's like another thing. But listen, if you got 4 Chad Browns in a race, I'm not playing against Chad Brown here. I think Warlike Goddess, good horse, but 4 Chad Browns against Warlike
three,
Goddess.
three, three Chad Browns.
4. You just gave me the 4th one with Sherry
Well,
DeVoe. So
it was her assist. It was his assistant. She's out on her own and
all
doing
right,
very well.
3 Chad Browns. So 2 to 5, no. 2 to 5 on a stalker, always bad news. I never play stalkers, closers at, you know, 2 to 5, 8 to 5, 7 to 5. Pick your number. I need to get a little value. Like if I got a lock that's a closer, I may go 3 to 1. But there's so much stuff that can happen in a race, as everybody knows. There's no way I'm playing 2 to 5. I actually like my pick on this one, Eddie, is I like the 3. And I understand Warlike Goddess beat Virginia Joy last time. It does say in the comments here, went 4 wide. I didn't watch the replays, but listen, this is an interesting thing too. I just picked up on this morning. So Irad has been riding the 7, which is the Chad Brown. Manny is going on that horse now. So Chad's saying, okay, Irad, I've got a better one for you. I'm going to put you over here on Virginia Joy. Well, he rode him last time. I think there's a reason here. This is my pick. I'm going 3-4 in this race. 7 to 2, I like.
All
3 to
right, hey
1.
Chris, do me a favor. Pull up the PaceSheets graph
All
again.
right. Hang on. Multitasking at its best. All right, here you go.
All right, so I'd like to prompt you to give an explanation about this. Let's look at the total pace and things like that, because one of the things I look at here is the one horse is the best total pace horse in the race. He's got some early speed in the race and he's got some late speed. He still stays there. And the one thing I want to bring up about the one horse is, he's not in the same class as far as the races he's running versus the 3, the 4, the 6.
Mm-hmm.
So in looking at this, you've got the 1 up there, but it's not a big bubble. And the in the total pace, the 3 and the 4 have bigger bubbles. So give a quick explanation about that.
So whatever the previous horses race, remember this is a computer program. We had one yesterday too, Eddie, and I think I asked you. I didn't handicap
Yeah, the
yesterday,
10
but
horse. The
it was
10
a
horse.
10. Yeah, I don't remember what race that was, but the 10 horse
It was
jumped
in the
off the
last.
page.
It was. I think in the last race, and I told you I'm throwing him out
Yeah,
because it
it
was
was
his
this.
first time on the turf.
Yeah, it was a Safi horse. I remember that. It looked good on paper, but it was the first time it ever gone to the turf. Didn't really look that great on the turf. I mean, I guess he was worth a shot with the odds, but this is why you've got a handicap, because I don't have anything that's going to toss it. But when you look at it and you see the 1, so the bubbles here, 4 sticks out for obvious reasons. 3 looks good, 7 looks good. So
Yeah.
that's the
So
thing.
the reason I brought this up, Chris, is because we have said this before.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tool. This isn't the holy grail of handicapping. It's a tool to incorporate with your handicapping because, and now I will say this, it's a huge step up for this one horse. He's jumping up from an optional claiming races, his last 4 races, into a grade 2. But if you're looking for a price,
Mm-hmm.
PaceSheets is showing you that, hey, the one's got a shot if you're looking for a price here. I handicapping it looks clear 4-3-3-4.
Mm-hmm.
I think we agree on that. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to find a value play in this, and maybe in using it in multi-race pick 3s, pick 4s, doubles, maybe throw the 1 in there. And maybe if there's a huge upset, which it is a graveyard of champions, maybe the 1 surprises and you get a big score using him.
Right. And if the 4, Eddie, just going on that point, if the 4 was way over here, I would like the 4 a lot better. But what I'm
Right.
seeing here is it doesn't look as clear cut as you'd think it would be. And 4 on paper doesn't look like a 2 to 5. That's my point.
and that's amazing because the fours won 8 out of 10 races.
So I'm
So
just close, just close, and listen, get the best
again,
back speed.
again, it's a tool. It's a
Yep.
tool. It's not, so that's what I just kind of want to, and I want the listeners and viewers to know that we are going to do a full show on a tutorial one day here soon. So we want everybody to really fully understand everything. We're not holding back. It's just that it's Saratoga. We got too much going on.
Oh, Walter's got a comment here for you. I don't even know who Almond Joy is, but he's a better shot of beating Warlake
Almond Joy,
Goddess than Virginia.
Almond Joy is a candy bar, isn't it? Leave it
It's
to
good.
Walter. Leave it to Walter.
Good stuff. Good stuff. What about we got one more race, Eddie, and I know we're up against the clock, but let's just dive into this last race. It's race 11. The one we've all been waiting. And by the way, this race here, I love this race.
Yeah,
I love this race.
This race. So I'm gonna throw out a horse that's probably gonna put him in the winner's circle because you and I both loved him last time out in the Whitney Olympiad. I just don't. I just believe the horse doesn't like the track. I mean, even though he ran a 105 buyer last year, winning an allowance race, or no, excuse me, came second to Baby Yoda. But I don't know. The last race, Olympiad, just it was just confounding to me because it was a 5-horse race. It was in perfect position. Was running in. I thought it was going to win, and then it just stopped. And Life is Good just proved that he's a special horse. But here, you, Walter, and a couple other my friends have hooked me on American Revolution, the 5-horse. I think this horse, looking at it, watching replays, he did come second to Olympiad back in July at Churchill Downs in the Stephen Foster. But again, watching that replay, this horse raced wide. He was clearly second best, and he lost enough ground going wide and actually getting caught in a little bit of traffic and looking at his workouts coming into this race, I really like this horse. And if I'm throwing out Olympiad like I said I am, I'm going to use the 6, 7, and 8 underneath, or maybe, underneath the 5 for a little bit of value, even though the 8 is probably going to go off the second choice. I think the 8 goes off more favored than the 5 does, to be honest with you. Because you got Irad back on suspension. Even though Joel's on the 5, that's not why I'm picking the 5. I'm picking the 5 based on intelligent people like you and Walter and others telling me that you really like him, and looking at replays and looking at his form. I personally think he's the standout of the race.
Don't listen to me. You're the guy that's hot. I'm not hot. I'm like lukewarm.
I'm hot, but I listen to people. I don't ignore people. I go with my heart and what my mind tells me to bet. But when somebody of intelligence is telling me about a horse, I take a deeper dive, and that's what you're supposed to do in your handicap.
Okay. So guess who I'm taking in this race, Eddie?
You're taking American Revolution.
Of course I am. So American Revolution, I'll save the stories and why and what I like. But listen, I'm 5'8" here. Maybe the Olympiad thing is when I get burned by a horse, I just turn on him real quick. And like you said, he probably will end up winning this race by 20 lengths, and I won't look good. But I'm 5'8" I think it's a 3-contender race. I like the fact that American Revolution, Rosario gets the mount. We all know Rosario. Personally, I think Rosario, out of all the jockeys, and maybe he's not on top of the jockey standings, doesn't have as many mounts. Rosario, hands down to me, has had the best meet out of any jockey, in my opinion. You agree with that? Or no?
Look, when you look at the statistics, and everybody, if you don't do this, go to Equibase. You can pull up all the all the statistics and current standings at the meets, Irad Ortiz is a great jockey. There's no disputing that. But Irad's had almost 100 more mounts than Joel, and Irad is beating Joel by less than $1 million in the money title. I think he's up by like maybe 11 races total. But again, yeah, I agree with you. Joel, not because he's a friend or anything like that, he's the best jockey in this colony, in my opinion, especially when you talk big races. He doesn't race in a lot of the cheap claiming races and things of that nature. And I think that's part of the plan that Ron Anderson, his agent, has put together for both him and Johnny Velasquez. So, yeah, big time race, big time jock. Yeah, I believe Joel's the best.
All right. I just wanted to validate things while I was charging up my Apple Pen. So when I look at this race here, who's got the biggest bubble? Can you see my bubbles?
The 7 and the 8 combined, it looks like, or is it
Well,
just the 8?
seven's underneath here. Sometimes that
Okay.
happens where you got to have some good eyesight, but you're right. The 8 has actually the biggest bubble. So the algorithms, if I was to just give you a ranking of what the computer says the winner would be, it would be 8, 5, and I guess 6 or 2. I'm not really sure here, but so when I look at it, this race here, here's Olympiad. Oh, the Raven didn't like that pick right there.
There, you heard it.
So the
I'm
two,
liking this sanctuary here, so sorry.
yeah. So listen, I am on American Revolutions here, best early speed. I'm just hoping that Revolution can get out front, stay there, obviously, and run its course. The little concern here that when I look at the late speed on the horse, but listen, again, this is a computer. I'm going to handicap. I'm balancing this. I'm just using this to validate what I'm looking at. But in reality, I could probably make a case for any of these, Eddie. I
Well,
really could.
I was about to say, I think this is a race where you could see 4, 5, 6 horses hit the wire together.
Hmm.
And even though there's a big class differential in this race between certain horses, but yeah, I mean, look, if Olympiad shows up, Olympiad wins.
Okay.
But I just the last race just I think something might be off. I hope nothing's off. If Olympiad wins, I'll be happy for it because I love the horse. But I'm with you. I like the 5, and as I told you, I think the 8's going to go off second choice, not the 5.
There is an inside bias here too on this race. So the post positions 1, 2, and 3 have a pretty significant bias. So however you want to look at it, however you want to shake it out, what I am going to do is when the scratches post, I'll clean some of this stuff up because I'll tell you, when you notice that some horses don't show up on these sheets, what happens is the computer, when you don't clean some of these out, it won't stretch these other ones the right way. So what I'm going to do is I'll stretch this out to make sure it looks right, and you can see if there's any differentials here. But again, it's a cluster of I think anybody can win this race. It's completely wide open. The pace looks fast. We all know that favors the back speed. So, best back speed, according to this, it looks like a big cluster, Eddie. Big
Yeah,
cluster. So
that's what I said. I think you unless the 5 gets loose on the lead, maybe,
yeah.
uh, and wins by open lengths, I think you could see a 4, 5, 6 horses hitting the wire at the same time.
All right. So that we made it through. We got through the 3 races, talked a little Del Mar, talked about Eddie and his hot streak. I've already taken up 48 minutes of Eddie's time. Eddie's a very popular man. People are texting him right now. They want him here, they want him there. If you see him at the track today, give Eddie a high five. Stop him, ask him who he likes in the next race because he's got it. He's got the winners on him. Don't let him fool you guys. Don't let him
Well,
fool you.
if you're 6 foot tall, give me a low 5 because I ain't gonna get up that high. But what I do want to say is I do appreciate all everybody that's been supporting our pace sheets, our podcasts that we've been doing, and jumping on board with notebook picks as well. And we do this for the love of the game, and hopefully you guys have everybody's had some fun during the Saratoga meet. It's the greatest meet on the planet, in my opinion. And we're going to move forward after the Saratoga meet. We may give Kentucky Downs a little shot here in the next couple of days. Just realize that Kentucky Downs is a totally different animal. It's it's a long shot haven, so lots of things happen that are unpredictable. But then we got Keeneland and the Breeders' Cup coming up, and we also have the Belmont Meet at Aqueduct that we're going to probably do some stuff with, right?
Absolutely. So before we go, I just wanted to give a quick plug to horse racing today. I know the guys last night. I was actually tuning in. They actually did their first NFL show of the year. Gave some betting, gave some picks. I know they have the Picks by Professor that they've partnered with. But again, we're all part of the Horse Racing Today family. If you guys wouldn't mind, come over, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up. It really helps us out with our show. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And again, just pay attention. Hopefully, we're going to have another good day. And I'll throw it out there now, Eddie. This has actually been my favorite because of the weather's been so good. And I've been over there so many times. This has been my favorite Saratoga meet, actually, of all time.
I'm going to say my second favorite meet, just because my first favorite meet is when I met my boys Gino and Bill, who we connected on Twitter, and I can now call very good friends. And it was like a high school reunion when we very first time we met in person. But from a gambling standpoint, yeah, this is by far the best meet I've ever had at Saratoga. Awesome. So, but anyhow, awesome, all right, Chris. Well, feel better, brother.
All right, have a day, everybody. We'll talk to you guys all soon. Thanks for watching.
Yep, notebook picks coming out.